It's not there. And there we go. I'm just going to watch this for a little bit.
Right, I'm going to try and replicate this here. We're off to a great start. I tend to kind of just avoid doing sketching and writing now because it's not really worth it if you get something like that. Anything you could do that would just make my hand do what I want it to do and to be able to sign my name would be an incredible thing.
How do we even just begin to help her overcome this particular symptom of her tremors and helping her be able to regain her writing ability, her drawing ability? You know, I don't think we're ever going to get that back 100%. You know, my challenge is it's immense.
Someone's made a spoon, it actually counteracts the tremors you get from Parkinson's. So the spoon actually vibrates in opposition to how your hand might be shaking, and therefore it is steady.
I'm making a very rough prototype. And what this board does is I can connect into it through these wires, these tiny coin cell motors. So these motors will vibrate. Hello.
Hi, I'm Alison. It's affecting something. I don't quite know what's happening. Something is going on with it.
What this is doing is it's short-circuiting whatever feedback loop there is between the brain and the hand that's causing the tremors. I'm on to something, right? I'm on to something.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It makes me forget that I have a tremor. I haven't drawn one of them for a long time. I'm so casual about it. Yeah, I'm just going to draw a straight line. I've actually just written my name for like the first time in ages.
I can't believe it.
Mum, it's called the Emma.
Oh, brilliant.
It's got my name on it.
Okay. It's just notified that the video is a little shaky, not smooth. If you want to watch that video again, you can look up Emma Watches on YouTube, and this should be the one that shows up. Now this is called Emma Watches. It's from the show Big Fix. This is mostly about showing off how the impact of technology in someone's life can like really change a few things. With Project Invent, they want to have everyone the opportunity to make great impacts like this. Again, oh, hello. I'm just gonna wait on that. I got a little warning on my browser saying something was unresponsive. We'll see if I might have to close and reload, but we'll see how that goes. But if you want to look up more stuff like this, you can always look up the Big Fix with BBC, and they have a lot of awesome, cool stuff like this. So moving on here, you think about maybe make your answer about these. So what inspired you about Emma Watches? And you think of what other examples can you think of where technology has impacted positively or negatively to the world? So you can take a moment, answer a few questions, answer those questions on our chat there. If you want to share it to everyone, make sure it's set to all panelists and attendees. Or You can, you know, keep it private, just keep it to panelists. What inspired me the most is how like they thought through it like a programmer a little bit. There's a little thing that they said that there's these things interrupting the feedback loop in that video. And there's these things called loops in programming where you say it's usually written like for I equals, actually I have a little Google document. It'll be a lot easier to illustrate it through Google document here. Of course, it's closed and gone. I'm going to pause share right there so you'll see the same screen for a little bit. Looks like I accidentally closed that document. There you go, resuming. So a lot of times it'll be like for loop where it's like I equals, let's say you're gonna brush your teeth. Brush teeth. And while I is less than 10, I plus plus. And the next line will be like brush. I'm gonna say like it's a command doing brush teeth. Maybe like up and down would be the motions for it, and then closing bracket. So basically I'm saying for brushing teeth, stroke up and down 10 times and then plus plus. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I stop and exit the loop. What's happening here, they're like going for design, like, okay, something is happening where as they're writing something, it can't stabilize because it keeps shaking. So it's like stuck in that loop saying, like going back and forth, like, oh no, like brain's going like, I don't know what to do here. So I'm just going to do this instead. So you're like going through the design like a programmer saying like, hey, there's this weird thing going on. How do I stop that or interrupt it? And their solution there was to get something else to distract the brain there so it focuses on what it's doing. So I'm gonna read through little responses here. I do like the one where it's like technology is everything, will be everything nowadays, so we need to learn more about this interesting field. I definitely agree. And someone liked the psychological approach of solving Emma's issue. Emma watches were an attempt to pin the issue at the source. Emma's problem felt surprisingly simple, yet too fundamental to address at first, though. But at first thought, but a dedicated developer's mind challenged this. Yes, definitely agree with that. Now the next one here is, now we're going to go into design thinking. You know, like, what is design thinking? Kind of went a little bit over it with Emma's watches, but I'm going to go into here. So I'm going to ask everyone a few questions, more questions, but what is design thinking? You can like take a moment, maybe, you know, write a response what you think what design thinking is. When I heard design thinking, I'm just like, oh, you think like a designer and you make things look pretty on like text on postcards and billboards, and you like use all this like cool fonts like Comic Sans, I'm kidding here, or papyrus, again I'm joking here, where and we make it really large and put some photos in the background and then see how many people will like that. And as you can see, Nebraska might need a little bit more design thinking. There's a lot of times when I'm driving and I see billboards and I'm like, that could have been done better. But that's what I originally thought what design thinking was. Later, I realized that design thinking isn't about graphic design or art. It's actually something else entirely. Someone said it's when you do like design to solve the issue. Another person said when you think through things logically and psychologically to try to make things better in the world. Actually, yeah, I agree with those. You guys were way more on track than I was when I first looked into it. But yeah, it is design thinking. Design thinking is a process of solving problems. Yeah, all the problems. So I'm gonna go through to here. We can see that we definitely live in a world where everything is designed, whether it's good or bad, like, or unintentional or very intentional. You see design everywhere. Truly everything's designed in our society, not just products and technology. There's also our laws, our cities, our treatment of different genders, our food, and more. So like everything is design. Doesn't even have to involve art or tech or video game design. It involves like almost everything. Someone else had said, design thinking, I believe, is more abstract category of mindsets. It's analytical, picking apart sources, steps. Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Now, like I said there's good design and bad design. I love looking up like bad design online. There's a lot of good sources for that where you think like, oh, that's a good intention. You look again, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not right. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like those little kitty mugs with the ears on it, where it's like a front. When you go to drink it, it kind of stabs at your eyes instead. Like, oh, someone didn't think that all the way through. So not all design's really good. But another thing is about bad design is that it really makes you rethink things and be like, how can I make this better? So you can like drive around, like rethink billboards, like, how can I make this better? And like try to improve these different situations. Or like learning from home. You can think about during this time right now, how can I improve design? Like right now we're discovering a lot of things, like what's really good design and what's bad. Like having to give out content like this, there's a few times so I'm just like, we could do this better. Especially this part where at the beginning of the video that I just showed, where apparently on your guys' side it was a little shaky. And I hope everyone can still connect me because I'm having internet problems. I'm gonna type that just in case. You want to see my internet? Yeah, because my computer keeps telling me reconnecting and connecting, and I'm like, oh no. I did a webinar earlier at 2 p.m. and I'm like, it was perfectly fine then. I guess more people are active at night. So think about, again, another question we ask guys, like what makes some of these bad designs? Like there's some really apparent right here, like this pencil, too cool to do drugs, cool to do drugs as it's sharpened down, coming down, like, that's a little, someone wasn't thinking it through. At first it's like, oh, let's make a cool pencil we can give out as rally. And everyone can take it home, and if someone actually does use the pencil, it can change the message that it was to opposite what it was intended. And then there was that, like, I think it was Miss Universe. Yeah, see the image, Miss Universe 2015 elimination card, where someone accidentally announced the wrong person as the winner. So, like, I'm trying to remember, like they said, it's like, think that when you go in order of different people winning, like, you think it'll go top down design, because that's where we see a list, like first, second, third, fourth. So this one's got second runner-up USA, first runner-up Colombia, and then Miss Universe 2015 Philippines right over there. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I saw this. I think it was Colombia that was announced the winner. And then on the right side, they're like, oh, I missed that. Because you like think about where your eye follows. That's a good way to think about design. Where like my eye's following the upper left. It also depends on the different countries. But typically when we look at different things, our eyes go from left to right, top down. I know in places like Israel where it's actually right to left. So when you're designing things visually, you can think about that. And someone asked, wonder how much that glass could spill. Yes. I'm just thinking about how you drink out of that cup. It looks really cool at first. You're like, oh, that's a cool way. Kind of like a little egg shape with a hole in the side. But when you go to drink, like, how do you drink out of that? You're like visualizing, how do I hold that? How do I grab it, sip out of it? Like, if I drink out of it, I feel like all the liquid's just going to spill on my face. Or I turn around. I wish I had a cup, for example, but I could turn that around sideways. And I'm holding like a spoon. And I'm like drinking out of it that way. Which is kind of strange. Like, another part of design thinking is think about how your users are going to approach your product. Like a user is going to come to the cup, they're going to think automatically like other cups where you grab from the stem or hold a wine glass and you're going to drink it like this, stand on the side and drink. But it's kind of like that would be a little difficult to approach that. Yeah, he definitely has. Someone I said it has to be functional and fashionable. Yes, that's something we're going to get to later. Actually, I was going to show guys where there's good design but bad intention, or good intention and bad design. That's something a little bit later. I also love that little like teapot right there with inside where you have to like break your arm, like move your arm this way, and that maybe accidentally spill something. But yeah. Oh, here's the story. So Miss Universe story. In 2015, Steve Harvey read the wrong name for Miss Universe, crowning Colombia rather than Philippines. He only noticed the error after the crown has already been given to Colombia and ended up having to embarrassingly remove the crown and give it to Philippines on live television. He was put under a lot of fire for this, but it wasn't his fault. This was also a case of poor information design. And as we can see from the note card right up here, I'm going to turn my little highlight on because I know I can have a little highlight spotlight. Yes, there we go. Now you guys can see my cursor a little bit better. So you can see from like people look at this upper part first before seeing the bottom right here, unfortunately. So here's also when I was talking about a little bit earlier where there's good intention, but doesn't mean it's good design. So those are funny examples that we just had for bad design. So here's more bad design that isn't so funny. It's a little bit more sad sometimes. And a lot of times we ignore it, or sometimes we just, have a difficult time coming up with solutions with these. But sometimes, bad design isn't as funny. That's the case when we're talking about how a lot of problems that exist in the world are designed, such as refugees crisis, or plastic in our oceans, or education system, or disability access. Like right now we discovered that we could have had a lot more access online, but I guess that's something maybe someone here watching could come up with an awesome design solution for that. So obviously here we got different examples of that. I'm still not sure. I think this one's it's like called the talking pharmacist, and I guess it's something older, but it is, quite strange. And of course, there's the obvious one with stairs in some cases. So start thinking about now. Again, Project Event was more towards event for change, but of course, you also create event for media and reinvent things, how people engage media and all that awesome stuff. So think about right now, honestly, when you're inventing something for change, it actually challenges you as a designer a little bit more. So I think inventing for change personally, I'm not saying go ahead and do it, but if you're comfortable, like I feel a lot of cases where it really challenges you and you're able to get feedback from people a lot easier than towards media. So right here, I don't know, a lot of people in the audience ever heard of Agile development or Scrum or maybe Waterfall, but Project Invent itself has like a different form of that for design thinking process, but it has like added on something in the beginning called empathize, where first you got to figure out what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. So first we understand, we do this through a design thinking process for how we design in a better world. By understanding the problems and empathizing with people who are affected, you can come up with great ideas and build it into reality using this methodology. So regular Agile development usually breaks things down from like prototype phase, design phase, documentation, alpha, beta, testing, and then release. This is more of empathize first, think of the idea, not the idea, but you're empathizing, understanding the problem. With design thinking, you're like exploring the problem first. You don't start inventing yet or try to come up with a solution. You really need to look at a problem from all angles. Like I can think something like maybe within game design, I'm like, oh, I want to really make this mechanic work where a very simple one could get this character to jump across. The problem is the gap. Maybe I don't want them to fall off and start the level over. So you come up with a solution like before that, basically thinking like, the problem is I don't want to fall. Very simple and short there. And I can move on. So empathize what it feels like, I guess, to fall. Define, there's a gap right here, and you get across it. And then you start ideating, come up with different ideas you have, and then you prototype your ideas, and then you test it. So it's a little bit different from the usual agile development. So right here, this image was here, part of his presentation way before recent, but it's really cool. Think about it, like me turning into a scary MRI machine into like a little train ride. It comes up, so cable car rides this way, and it makes it much more enjoyable there. So this is a great example, design thinking, improving lives. Doug Diaz revolutionized medical care with his invention of the MRI machine. However, he didn't stop there. One day he saw a little girl crying as she went into the scanning room. An already scary period of time in a child's life, the sterile look of a traditional MRI room made the healthcare process even more frightening for a child. He was driven to do something about it to make the MRI experience better for children. First, he had to empathize with the user. So the user is someone going to, go into the machine and get scanned. What would the kid want their experience to be like? He decided to make an MRI scanning into adventure. The Children's Hospital started painting their scanning rooms as full adventure experiences where kids could explore as the jungle or be a pirate or anything else. Kids began looking forward to their MRI experiences. Doug has effectively identified the problem and seen his own invention from children's eyes and built a solution to make it better. A lot of stuff like that is really cool. Now, when we start designing, at first everything's just like we're coming up, sorry, I apologize. I have birds, you might hear them sometimes. They are away from me, but they can be really loud. But back to this. But oftentimes, when you think about the design process, getting to great solutions is a messy process. You might come up with the wrong solution at first and then have to loop back and understand the problem some more and on. Going back to Agile development and Scrum, a lot of it is doing like the same thing over and over again, but with small changes over time. Some of it here, you can come up with a really great idea and you have to come back to the beginning, but it's still a similar idea, but just from a different point of view. So you're addressing your design with a new lens and you're making changes appropriately and then submitting it and then testing it again to see what else could be wrong with the design and improve it. Again, if you have any questions, you can just ask them and we'll address them live. So we all can help. You can think of this and help building your skills along as you practice this to become great designers, thinkers, or inventors, or whatever you want to apply this to, no matter how messy the process is. A lot of things involving with project events. Design thinking, along with empathizing, is interviewing, building, ideating, observing, and prototyping. So if you're designing something that's going to be used by someone else, it's a really good idea to do some interviewing with users and see how they tackle your product rather just you testing it. In the programmer life, a lot of times there's a person that actually has to stand between the client and the programmer to mediate everything, because a lot of times a programmer creates a new app and such, and users don't get it. You actually hear a lot of programmers getting mad about it and look at their program and be like, why is this so easy? And then we have that person between, usually I can't remember the name of the person who does that right now. It's usually the something designer, tech designer, something like that. Usually game development specifically, it's the game designer does that, where they mediate and talk to the user and get their opinion of it, and then show the programmer why it's not a great approach to the problem. And then they see it, and they got that through interviewing. No, I saw someone asked, saying, are you ever going to be done redesigning? No, honestly, no. You can always improve it. There's so many products that get released out there. And when you get luckily with the app, App Store and other things like that, you always see that there's always an update as they improve things. So luckily nowadays with technology has progressed, we're able to redesign things all the time for digital products. Now let's say things like movies are a little bit harder. Actually, there are some movies that do get updates and get sent back out to theaters. The movie Cats got that actually, where they like modified it and re-released it out in the public and fixed a few things that they forgot to take out. But like when it comes to things that are more physical, yeah, it's kind of hard. Like at the point you just have to get it as good as you can before you get it out there. And those type of situations have way more testers with them. Hopefully they catch all those different things. And of course we see out there, like back over here, not all the time things are tested enough. Like still this pencil right here, that like, I guess no one used it before they released that pencil. Okay. So, yeah, Disney remakes to their classics. I saw another person made that statement. Yeah, definitely agree how they're like redesigning, or actually redeveloping their movies through that way. And yeah, same with Star Wars. Now, sometimes redesign is not the best. George Lucas Star Wars is someone else, it says, but sometimes it's amazing. It's great. Most of the time, we really want to get feedback from people on that. So for this next half hour, someone, okay, so I have to say this quick, this is one not live, but someone replied, "What? Yeah, why do you have to mess with the classics?" I don't know. I really don't know on that one. But for this next half hour, actually more like 15 minutes, I'll do a Q&A at the end, but is need finding. So this is a little bit more about the first step of what we saw here with the graph with need finding. So let's say it's more the case where you're like, I want to do something, I want to work on a project, or I want to improve the skill, but I have no idea what I want to do. Or in a case where I'm like, I do have a need that I want to address, but I don't know how to go further from that and coming up with an idea and such. So need finding, you go over here back in my notes, need finding is really good skill to have for various things, especially when it helps you get started on your project. So, well, it's about, this is where empathizing here starts. So deeply understand the problem. Again, it doesn't have to be towards invent for change. You can actually like apply this to a lot of things. Even something like simple as a postcard or graphic design. Like you think about like, what am I advertising? How am I come up with a solution to the problem? Like, why isn't this advertised enough? Why are people noticing? How can I design a postcard to get people to notice it? Various things like that. So emphasizing deeply understanding the problem. So this is an older product here. I would switch this actually for modern take. I would switch this for the HoloLens personally, because I feel like the HoloLens is really cool, but there's still some type of design problems with it. So finding the real problem with Google Glass. So this is important because you can end up with ineffective solutions if you don't really understand the problem. An example of that is the Google Glass. It was cool technology without a user in mind. Once it went on sale, very few people bought it. Many thought it looks cool, but why would it be useful for me? For the $1,500 price tag, if you were willing to spend money on something that didn't seem very useful, like to look at it like, it'd be amazing if it was like 20 bucks, but $1,500, no. Why? Like I just need normal glasses and I have my phone for everything else. So although it had some cool functionalities, it was never addressed. It never addressed any particular need people had. There's never been time like, man, I wish I can overlay my text on my glasses. No, I can just pull out my phone and look at my texts. Google Glass had a seemingly optimistic future, simply because it seemed technologically advanced, but in terms of market success, it was a failure. Be aware, when people see something high tech, the first reaction is always, wow, that seems cool, it must be very successful. When you come up with solutions, don't fall for flashy ideas when there could be a simpler, more useful solution you could create. I feel like another example right now for like more of a modern take is virtual reality. Virtual reality is getting there. Like some of the stuff is really cool, but right now it's still a little too expensive for everyone. Hasn't been a really great need. There have been some cool things recently, like really cool. Like I've seen people give out a bunch of headsets in retirement homes, and people with weaker immune systems are able to experience something cool, like diving with the dolphins. And that, like something like that, like that's really cool. It's one of those cases like maybe we don't really necessarily need that, but we're getting closer with virtual reality. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone said augmented reality is better. Yeah. Augmented reality is pretty cool. Which reminds me, this little side note, but this Saturday we're actually doing augmented reality basics. I believe it's at 2 p.m. And you can join us live through Zoom again. Okay. So next one here. Here's another example. Where it's good intention but bad design. Like, find the real problem. PlayPump. So PlayPump is another example for a solution that didn't fully understand the user. Good intention isn't enough. You need to put the hard work of making a product that works for your user. For PlayPump creators, they raised $16.4 million from a prestigious foundation, persons including like Jay-Z and the Clinton Foundation. It seemed creative and different. However, so basically how this worked is kids would, like, sometimes they were thinking like, how can we make pumping water fun? Of course, because the old style pumps where just bring it down, water comes out. They're thinking like, hey, let's go to a playground. So they got a little merry-go-round, and if it has kids playing, spin it around, it pumps water, brings it out for water people to take in. And they're trying to solve the problem of water scarcity. So you think about, maybe you can start thinking like, what's the problem with this? Like, look at it right now, like, what could have gone wrong? First thing, of course, people are going to get bored of it really quickly. So, however, once play pumps were installed, they largely sat around unused. Kids didn't want to had too much resistance, and mothers would end up having to push the play pump, which was harder to pump water than the previous pumping system. They also failed to address one of the biggest initial problems. Most people simply did not have enough high quality groundwater to pump in the first place. Like, they just skipped ahead, didn't address the initial problem yet. So from these examples, from PlayPump and Google Glass, you can see two very popular misconceptions about design. Number one, high-tech doesn't mean it's good. And number two, creative solutions must be successful. So what is wrong with these conceptions, though, is that they're both solution focused. They don't focus on the original problem. So they just heard something like, oh, well, pumping water is kind of boring. Let's make it fun, rather than the problem like, where can I get water? Google Glasses problem. Again, I can't think of a problem with that one besides it's cool. Sometimes people make things for side projects, and I totally agree with it, but it also costs so much money for a company. So, oh yeah, someone commented they ironically become more dehydrated from pumping the water that way than the normal way. Yes, that's another problem there. Like, after you go through like spending like, man, I want to drink. Oh man, I didn't spend the merry-go-round enough, the push pump enough to get enough water for my dehydration. So, think about user experience too. Along with looking at the problem itself, think about the point of view of advising with your user, how they come across using your product, how it can improve. So here, discuss on the different parking schedules here. What do you notice? What is better about the parking diagram on the right compared to the one on the left? So it can take a few moments. So yeah, what do you think makes it good? What do you think makes it bad? So on the left, I'll get to that next, but when I'm looking here, I'm thinking, I see, I don't know if people can zoom in or not, but got 1 hour parking in the green, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and it's pointing to the left. And then below that, there's towaway, temporary. And we see that 1 hour parking is a lot smaller than everything below it. So you got towaway, temporary, no parking anytime, Monday only, and a lot smaller text. And there's even smaller text about exceptions, so it's even harder to read. Again, before I read the next part, think about the user. Are they walking by the sign? Are they driving by the sign? Flying by the sign? Maybe riding a train by the sign? Think about how they're approaching the sign. So, yes, one person commented they put it on one. So the one on the right is on one run, rather having 1,000 different signs, but it's also kind of small. Yeah, good point. Yeah, got a little construction thinking there. We're thinking this is great, but could improve on this, but still good. That person commented, too condensed in text overwhelms the brain with information. The visual diagram on the right is much more simple and feels more uniform for the brain's comprehension. Yes, I agree with that. So picture the sign on the right on the side of the road, maybe in the old market of Omaha as you're driving around trying to find parking. So the sign on, like, there's no good answer or bad answer here for design. I guess the only way that is about a designer is how many people engage with the product in the end. You know, the numbers, how much it make or how much it got people interested, various things. So that's where you find the right answer, but overall, you don't really know until you engage your user. So the sign on the left makes a simple question: can I park here? It makes a little question right there incredibly difficult to get answer. Like, you go watch it, you approach the sign, you're like, okay, I see one that says Monday only, another says Sunday only, another says Friday and Saturday. When can I park? And then the last one says no stopping, a little sign around it. And right before, no stopping. So I guess you could drive by it from 8 a.m. to midnight, but you can't stop. But you can't park there on Monday. You can't park there Friday and Saturday. So I think you can park there Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Monday. Nope, you can't park on Monday. It's only 3 days. Well, they're on the right one. The sign on the right focuses on what the driver wants to understand. It has like a very specific part that's like blocked off here. Like from Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., no parking. You got 1 hour and free, a little bit on Saturday. Now I was trying to figure out how did the person design this figured out that from the left here. I don't know, but that's amazing. Yeah. So think about the problem from a user's perspective, distilling it down to what user want helps you become with good design. So human-centered design is all about your users. Think about, the experience they're having is coming across that. Oh yeah, I like that question there. I saw a question says, do you have to pick up the sign so you can read it? That is a good design question. You're thinking when you set up a sign like that, like you don't want people to have to pick it up and look closely to read it. And honestly, I kind of think that applies to the sign on the right for parking schedule, because it's kind of a little, like, I feel like there's an easier way to break that down too, because people have to stop for a little bit and look at the times and figure out when they need to park, versus it's definitely improvement than the one on the left where you're like, I have no idea what to do there at all. Okay, so we want to cover personal assumptions that maybe your users might face. So in order to find what your user needs, you need to throw away your own assumptions about what you think they need. So when you go straight to what you think they need, you're kind of going straight to the solution, rather think about all the different angles of the problem. Project Event has like this little notebook thing. You can make your own inventor's notebook if you want to put together. Every time you come across a problem in life, you can write it down, and then later think about reasons why that problem exists, and then later record your ideas in there and thoughts how to solve that problem. Another good thing, if you want to, just use your regular notebook, you can like make little little bubbles through the notebook, or maybe a document on your phone. Take out your phone really quick and type all those different things you thought about today. But you can start thinking, what do I think I know about problem? What do I still need and want to know about that problem? So this uncovering and personal assumptions chart will be your first entry. Oh, that's more towards the project we did. But every time we come across a challenge, if you think users face, you can take about 10 minutes, think about writing all the things you think about the problem and how people engage that problem. So it's incredibly important for you to understand your user as a whole. You never know what you may learn from just talking to your user about their daily life, which is why we encourage you to think about their jobs, pains, gains, and keeps. That means what they do every day, what is hard for them, what works well, and what they like to have. So when you think about how they go for jobs like daily tasks, some things I think like, oh, walking up the stairs. Like I don't stop to think about stairs at all unless I'm really tired. Well, for some people, stairs might be a huge challenge, whether you got weak knees or need a wheelchair to get around. Like I don't think about that all the time. And when you want to address a problem, improve a different situation, you got to think about what it's like to tackle different daily tasks. You think about pains too. What are they dissatisfied with current situations? Keeps, what are they dissatisfied with their current situation? So you can go like, what's not that great? What's amazing? And gains, what they like to have. So you think something good, something bad, and something to improve or to gain there. So this one, okay, when you start trying to get into this type of design thinking, with Make Heck Build, a lot of our students went straight to the solution right away. It takes a lot of practice to get yourself to focus on the needs rather than the solution before you start getting to the solution mode. But really getting all the angles of that problem, like it is difficult at first. Every time you think about like, oh, I can solve this with this, you're like, wait, nope, stop. Put that table at the side, like maybe you can take note of it, just put it somewhere else for now, but keep focusing on what that need is. So for need finding tools, there's 4 different types that Project Invent has come up with, but honestly, I can come up with a few more than this. So there's walk a mile immersion, interviewing, talk out loud observation, and then regular old research. So first one we're gonna go over is walk a mile. I'm actually might be speeding up a little bit ahead because I just realized we got about 15 minutes left. But the first tool is walk a mile. It's basically walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So what you're doing is try to experience another person's like shoes, I guess, wear someone else's shoes as you try something out. Project Event, they like, I remember someone was trying to like, someone had a sibling that only had like 2 fingers on their right hand. And what they did is like they taped up their hand and try to gauge like different things like opening doors and writing with their taped up hand. It was pretty fun, pretty cool to get that, like, you know, when they like have this aha moment. So that's what it's like, look at their eyes. So if you want to try it sometime with walk a mile, here's some examples with trying like things from a different perspective. This is again towards more Project Events. If you're doing something more like fun media and design, you can, this will be a little bit more difficult. Like think of like installing, like you're trying to make a better installation package. And you think about like, what if I'm someone with really terrible internet to try and install this? What's that like? So with Project Invent, they do typical tasks like use the bathroom, go downstairs, choose a snack. Now, next one after that is interviewing. So interviewing takes some practice at first. Like it takes, quite a bit of practice. At first, it's scary. I'm the type of person, I hate interviews so much, but they're useful. So interviewing is asking for stories and having a conversation, thinking about it like not so much you're on the spot, but more of like, I want to have a conversation about this topic and engage with someone. So as you're interviewing, you want to follow an arc. You shouldn't start out with the most sensitive questions. You want to build a relationship first, maybe tell a joke or something, or ask something really fun first. Start with introductions to get you questions. Like, what's your favorite color? What do you like to do? As the conversation goes on, ease into asking more sensitive questions, but be very respectful. So first you can start like, how was your day? And then you can, move on to like, what's a typical morning like for you? Can you tell me about how role coffee plays in your life? And you just get more ramp up. And then you end something like much nicer and softer at the end. Like if you could tell Starbucks anything, what would it be? Like, is there anything I missed at the end right here? So as you're interviewing and brainstorming for questions to ask, if you want to get engaged in the interviewing process, personally, I try to skip it, even though I really should get into it a lot more. I'm the type of person who sends surveys to people, so I don't have to talk to them face to face, but yeah, it's something I'm working on. But here's some examples for, when interviewing. So as you're interviewing and brainstorming questions to ask, make sure you focus on the question that will give you more than just a yes, no answer. A lot of times, we just want to get through it and just be like, yes, no. You want to hear their story, not just their response. You want to make questions, lead stories. You want to hear the unexpected, not just confirm your beliefs. Start with a big question. With these, usually start with how and why. And finally, do not ask your partner, what do you want me to build? Again, we're not in the solution yet. We're just figuring out what the problem is. If Ford had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. True innovation does not come with ideas on top of the head. They come from deeply understanding needs and solutions. So you can think of someone may say, hey, I could use a better walker. Why? Because mine slips when I'm walking in the rain. Why does it matter? Because after a fall, so you can kind of engaging the user right there and figure out what they can do. So I'm just gonna go ahead a little bit. You can download these slides from Project Event if you want to look for some more details. Just go to projectevent.com and download it. Their stuff is free and awesome. So you think of, is there anyone else who I can learn from? You can expand your network through this, introduce yourself to more people, build more friends. What? Should I delete that? Next one of topics is tackle out observation. To sum it up is observe as your user. You're just looking at your user, how they gauge their life, and they talk out loud what they're thinking as they gauge their life. So you're just taking notes, ask them to talk through what they're doing, thinking while they complete the task. That's another tool to build empathizing. Next one here is research the topic. You guys have done a lot of research papers for school. A lot of it engages, you looking through how people deal with this, or what's it like to have that, or has anyone ever done this before, as you research different topics. The thing is, with this right here, research the topic, it really limits your perspective. That's the one downside I'll say with that. Interviewing here is probably the best thing out of all these while you're engaging your users, because when you research the topic, you're looking through the topic with your lens on it still. You may be gaining different perspectives on your read it, but you still are not engaging someone personally with their stories. Someone just said, I hate research papers. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. If I had to choose between interviewing and researching the topic, I actually would choose interviewing or talk aloud observation over research, because it can take a lot of work here. So a little bit of research tasks. If you want to get more into research side of it, if you prefer research, you think about what causes the problem, you experience the problem, how many people how many people experience the problem, what assistive devices do people affected by this commonly use. So to realign this with something else, more towards general media, you can do more of a comparative analysis where you think about how many people like this thing, and how do people engage that media, and how long do they talk about it on Twitter or Facebook. Yeah. So after that, if you can, after you're making your projects, you can share them. I am at Dspace. The iHeart Dspace is going to go away soon, unfortunately. Still open if you want to share a thing, or you can send us a message on Facebook and talk about what projects you're doing. I am now going to open this up for questions. If you guys have any questions, I can answer them. If you got even more questions that are pretty long, you can email us at hello@dspace.org. I do like to thank everyone who joined us, and you can go ahead and give you some moments. You guys got to ask, some questions right now. So how can we get these slides please, from this website. Are you talking directly about the slides I made? I'm probably thinking you do project events. So on your browser, whether it's Chrome, Safari, Firefox, you just look up project event, and it'll be the first thing that shows up, projectevent.org. I click on that. Let me see if I can get a stamp here. And curriculum, it's right here. It's actually for the teacher resources on this website. And you click there. There's a little free digital curriculum. And if you add your name, your last name, and email, they email you the whole like package with their notes on each topic. So if you guys didn't notice me looking off to the side here, I saw my little notes. There's actually little notes that they added for each slide to describe each thing's a little bit more. And they also have like a little video package that they send to, listen to a little introduction to project events. Yeah, yeah, thank you for coming, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot, there's also a QA function. I kind of forgot about that too until now. So, does design thinking come hard to everyone, or does it occur easier to some? Like different types of intelligence, how valued is it in the real world with employment and such? I would say design thinking is hard at the beginning no matter what. I'm an artist, so I'm thinking about the artist approach. A lot of people see amazing artists and be like, wow, you're so talented. I wish I was born with talent. Honestly, art, design, music, even programming, math, science gets better with lots of practice. So much practice. Like artists will talk to each other about like, hey, how many years have you been drawing? And they'll tell you how many years you've been drawing, and you look, see their art, and we're like, wow, I see that you worked really hard at this. So yeah, design thinking at first does not come naturally. There's a few people who might, but we don't know their journey about how they got better. A lot of times when we see all these amazing designers online, we don't see their journey of how they got there. And the other part of the question is, how valued is it in the real world of employment and such? I would say it depends on what the need is for different places. Like in a lot of like countries with a lot of technologies developed, or not just technologies, but like I'm trying to think of like infrastructure and such. Well, design thinking plays a lot there. You know, obviously we can see that with everyday life, but even places where like not necessarily everyone has the internet as a utility yet. You can think like a lot of people there, like design thinking of figuring out how do we solve this problem of getting internet to everyone is another way you can address that. So I would say it's valued in a lot of places. I personally think it's really valuable, but not necessarily everyone thinks it's valuable. So there's some places, yes, really valuable. I kind of went back in my answer there, but some places, yes, very valuable. Some places, some groups, places might not see as valuable, but I would say it's still valuable. You just got to bring them some proof with some tests with users and show off the product and how people engage with it. So that person asked how I apply this to classes, like specifically if you're trying to do this assignment. So I'm wondering if that is more towards like classes like math class, English class, or more towards like open classes. I'm going to answer both ways. So within schools, I can actually answer this with programming too. So there's a problem you can come with your daily life too, where you're like, man, I wish there was an easier way to grade all these assignments quickly without me having to spend 5 hours doing this. And you can think of a solution. Oh, I can make a program that extracts all the data from all the homework and separates it by category so I can go through it faster in the emails to people their grades. If you want to do even more specific, like math equations, if you think about it, a lot of math equations were invented by some great design thinkers being like, is like, where is electricity coming? Like, I'm trying to think of a specific, like Pythagorean's theory, where someone like took a little 5 year, like looking at the triangles and try to figure out, how do I get the measurement of this really easily rather than doing this long, complicated equation. If you want to apply it to an assignment that you're working on, like, you can think about design thinking, like if I could think specifically for English, you can think of like everyday topics where you can do like schools are expensive as your topic and think of ways of improvement. But you can think about what's a topic that people are really interested in, might be, engaged in, might actually, maybe bring some change somehow. So one of my actually past roommates had a topic. They actually made this topic about cuteness and how cuteness keeps society going. And they figured out that a lot of people have response to cuteness in babies, so people keep them longer. They can explain it so much better than I can, but you can make much more engaging topics like that too. Okay, any more questions? Oh, so we can get a copy of the PowerPoint slides. You can, if you want my copy, it's very closely similar to the one that I got from Project Invent. They'll actually, if you download everything from, they'll give you like the whole thing from their website. I combined 2 of them together. Design thinking and Needfining are actually 2 different topics. If you get the email back with the download, it will take you to a Google Drive, and it has like all separated into like different folders. And you can just look for Intro Design Thinking and Needfinding and get that. So again, you can go to, let me get my little stamp here, Project Event, and then scroll down and, well, let me scroll down at the same time. Gotta go back to the house. And you can see the arrow side. You can email first name, last name. You can even put a fake name if you want. Email address. You sign up and get a copy of the solutions. So unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you for everyone coming in or viewing online and checking this out for design thinking. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. And I love having attendees and able to answer everyone's questions. This has actually been a lot of fun. Definitely check out Dspace, Facebook, Twitter, or website for more webinars like this. The next webinar I'm doing is actually Intro to Augmented Reality this Saturday, 2 p.m. I know there's a Littles Lab thing tomorrow for Littles 1. And again, thank you very much for checking us out.